We have a breach of the Capitol. Breach of the Capitol to the upper level.
Be advised they're requesting additional resources on the east side as they've broken into the window and they're trying to kick it in.
Without objection, the Chair declares the House in recess pursuant to Clause 12B of Rule 1.
My kids didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate.
I want to talk about, the difference between, a protest and insurrection. These guys keep calling this whole thing. And the reason why I'm bringing this conversation to play is because, I recently saw an invite by the commission. So right here, this letter that you guys are seeing, they've invited Mayor Aki Sawyer, invitation to meet with the Special Investigation Committee on the incident of 8th to 10th August 2022 in several parts of the country. So again, we know they've constantly, continued to harass the mayor. And, these guys have a couple of folks that they want to have the mayorship in Freetown. Their goal is to take over Freetown. So even with the census and everything that you hear that's going on, I want you guys to be rest assured that what they're doing is because their goal is to primarily take over Freetown. And the mayor is standing in the way. So they are doing everything they could, to ensure that, they disrupt and tarnish the image of the mayor at all costs. So when I saw this, I was actually going to talk about the public hearing today of, the Supreme Court. But I decided to say, what, let's shelve that. I'll deal with that maybe, hopefully tomorrow. But let's talk about this August 10th, protest that happened. And by the way, all of you guys know that I was totally against that protest, because, again, the registration was around the corner and we did not want anything to interrupt that particular process. And we know partly that protest had to do with interfering with the registration process itself. So it affected everything. So, Malika, we were totally against that protest. But again, that's not to say, a protest is a democratic right. It is the right of the people. And nobody should take away, the people's rights to protest. Right? So that is what I want to establish here. But the fact of the matter remains, these guys, of course, we want an investigation and we want a thorough investigation. We want people to be brought to book. But what does the mayor have to do with the protest? That is the concern that we have. What does the mayor have to do with the protest? The mayor did not call for a protest. She did not organize a protest. She was not telling people to protest. But we all know in Section 26 of the Constitution, every citizen has a right to protest in Sierra Leone. But they keep saying this protest is an insurrection. Even when we know they killed people after the protest, after the fact. A lot of the people that were buried, in October or so, those people, a lot of those were innocently killed. Some were bystanders. Bystanders that were killed innocently. We know that. But the reason why I want to talk about this is because of this letter that I saw. And I want to show you guys some of these videos from what happened in the United States. I want to show you guys how these guys breached the Congress of the United States. I want to show these guys what a real insurrection looks like. Nobody was going for State House. But even before all of that, whilst I want to show you guys this, I want you guys, let us watch this together. Let us have a clear understanding, Sierra Leoneans. This is what I want to do today, break this whole thing down so these guys can stop using this word insurrectionist. Because they want to mimic what happened in America, and that's far besides what close to what happened in the United States of America. What happened in America, these guys actually stopped the process where transfer of power was being done peacefully. They did not allow the transfer of power peacefully from one administration to another. They broke through the Congress. Nobody no go attack Parliament. Nobody no go attack a State House. People came out to protest. They said they were tired. Things are expensive, food and all of that stuff. That was the call for the protest. Even if they said, because when you listen to City2, they say, Madam must go. Does that warrant a crime? How many people are saying Biden is not still their president? It is not a crime. And the crime that these people committed in America in January 6th was because they actually breached the Congress. They went into the Congress. And let me show you guys this. Let's watch this video together.
As they're trying to breach and get into the Capitol.
I copy. We have a breach of the Capitol. Breach of the Capitol to the upper level.
Guys, Sierra Leoneans, I want you guys to understand what a real insurrection looks like. These guys actually broke into the Capitol. The Capitol is the equivalent of Parliament na Salon. I want Salon people to understand this. That's the equivalent. And you know, no other person actually put it better than Ambassador David Reimer of the United States, the ambassador to Sierra Leone from the United States. And let's listen to what Ambassador David Reimer said about this insurrection thing that these guys keep claiming. And I'm going to come back to this video. But let's put this once and for all to rest. Again, I'm doing this because I saw the letter that was sent, that was issued to Yvonne Aki Sawyer, Mayor Aki Sawyer. And I want to let these guys understand what they're talking about. And this is the letter from Mayor Yvonne Aki Sawyer that they invited Mayor Yvonne Aki Sawyer, you know, allegedly claiming that she had something to do with August 10th protest. When we know this lady had nothing to do with the protest. But again, it's just a way of tarnishing her character, tarnishing her reputation in the international world. They've tried all kinds of things. Parliamentary inquiry, this and that, all kinds, you know, ACC, all that stuff, nothing has worked. This lady keeps flying, you know, high across the world, flying the flag of Sierra Leone besides. But they keep, you know, just, you know, trying to damage our reputation. But let's see, listen to this video from Ambassador David Reimer so you guys would have an understanding of what I'm talking about.
In that vein, very happy to hear your talk about de-escalation and the need for dialogue. I would say one thing on January 6th, the people who entered the Capitol were eventually arrested and put on trial. A number of them have been sentenced to prison, and a number of them are in prison right now. But not everyone who demonstrated on January 6th was arrested or is an insurrectionist. Just as everyone here in Sierra Leone who protested yesterday is a terrorist. There's distinctions, and I think it would be helpful in lowering the tension to always keep that in mind. Finally, question for the Minister of Information and Communication. One thing that makes our capital nervous is when they can't communicate with us. And so what are the plans going forward in terms of the availability of cell phone coverage and internet? Thank you.
All right, guys. I wanted you to hear that. That's Ambassador David Reimer speaking to us right there. Because these guys keep comparing what happened in America to that of what happened in Sierra Leone on August 10th. These were peaceful protesters who came out to protest. Yes, like I said again, I did not support that protest. A lot of us did not support that protest. But still, that was not an insurrection. And that is why today I decided to say, you know what? I need to show you people to see what an insurrection looks like. And this is what an insurrection looks like. When these guys were protesting in the United States Congress in front of the building, it was fine. But the moment they breaching the building, broken through windows and doors, that was where the crime was committed, because they stopped the transfer of power peacefully from one administration to another. Let's watch this.
Jack, be advised they're requesting additional resources on the east side as they've broken into that window and they're trying to kick it in.
Without objection, the chair declares the House in recess pursuant to Clause 12B of Rule 1.
My kids didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. U.S. demands the truth. Bring out peace.
You know, that's totally wrong. I would not support anybody to say hang a president or kill a president. No. We can prosecute a president after the fact, but to say kill that president, no, it's crime. It's wrong. It's wrong. If we cannot condone it today, let's not condone it tomorrow. That is why we say we don't tolerate no foolishness, and nobody should push for violence in any of these. But people have a right to protest still within the confines of the laws. So when these guys continue to tell us that it's an insurrection, comparing what happened, you know, to America to that of Sierra Leone. That is why I want to show you guys images like these. Watch this. So that's a crime in progress right there. You see? Now they don't bridge the building. They don't go inside the Congress. They don't bridge them. Unauthorized entry. And the charges that they would give all them people there. All of these ones are being prosecuted. Over 700 people. This is where the insurrection occurred right there.
We can't hold this. We're going to get too many people. Look at this managed one, man.
We need an area
You
for
see
the
that?
House members. They're all walking over now through the tunnels.
You see right there? Those are the Congress members fleeing. Look at the police. You see, they've breached the Capitol. This is insurrection. Right here is the crime. All of these people that entered the Capitol, all of them have been charged. Almost all of them. You see, that's Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office they are getting close to now. In the Capitol. That's when the insurrection occurred. All of this, you see? Insurrection. Now they are breaching the building. Then they enter. Now you call insurrection right there. Then they stop the lawmakers them for perform their functional duties. Right there, broken through the building physically. You see that? All of these people, these are the insurrectionists. They broke through the Capitol building to stop the transfer of peaceful power, peacefully, of power from one administration to another. That is the insurrection right there. All of these people, watch them. Let's watch this together, guys.
In fact, officers still remaining on the House floor, on the third floor, to use the subway themselves. It's time to evacuate so we can secure the members on the other side. Copy.
It's up to us people now, the American people. What are you ready to do? One more time. What are you ready to do? And whatever it takes, I'll lay my life down if it takes.
Absolutely. That's why we showed up today.
But guys, you see, this is exactly what we're talking about, right? So that's why I continue to emphasize and say, yes, the August 10th protest was not really necessary at that particular point in time. People already don't bear so much for 4 years. The registration process was around the corner. What happened? People ran away. Tons of citizens, Sierra Leoneans, them that were supposed to register. A lot of our brothers and sisters, they're not able to register. They ran away to Guinea, Liberia. Some moved from the eastern part of the country to the west, seeking, a hideout, because they were chasing them, trying to track every one of these people. You know how many people are in jail today at Pademba Road prisons and across Sierra Leone because they targeted these people to say these were the ones that organized the protest. They went after opposition people, especially in the eastern part of the country. People were running helter-skelter, seek refuge with their family members in the western part of the country. This is how they interfered with the registration process in Sierra Leone with that when that protest occurred. But again, still, if the government had just listened to the voices of the people, it would not have affected anything. And this is the point we're trying to make to everybody so that everybody understands what we're saying when it comes to these issues. But these are the realities of what we're dealing with. So when these guys continue to talk about the insurrection linking the protest August 10th to an insurrection, it is very disingenuous. And that's wrong. And that is what we want to point out to these guys so they can understand. Because again, look at these guys inviting the mayor to this. What does the mayor have to do with the August 10th protest? Did she call for the protest? No. And these are the things we're saying. We've seen more videos. We listen to people like, City Tunis. Let's hear City Tunis, what he says. Let's listen to City Tunis here real quick, guys. What he said about the August 10th. Listen to City Tunis.
But when you have a situation wherein the demonstrators have guns, wherein the demonstrators have machetes, that is no longer a peaceful demonstration. that can only call for the intervention of the security forces. We had a situation on August 10 where...
That is the problem we're dealing with. It's talking about people having guns. Citizens had no gun. No Sierra Leonean out there protesting at a weapon or machete. We saw the folks protesting. All they were doing was exercising their rights. That's all it was. But they keep making up these, these excuses and stuff about, people using machetes and lying. And again, this was the ECOWAS Parliament. This was ECOWAS Parliament. And when the opposition leader had an opportunity at least to clarify, it was nowhere to be seen. But what did we see? The rights of these people were violated. We saw the reports from CNN and everything else. Would you compare that to what happened in America? Linking it to calling it the whole thing an insurrection? It is not an insurrection. And they should stop using that word insurrection. It's an insult. How can you compare that, what happened in America, to that of what happened in Sierra Leone? Parliament was not breached by the citizens of Sierra Leone. State House was not breached by the people of Sierra Leone. And you're calling that an insurrection? Let's listen to what Miss Lisa Chesney actually had to say about that whole thing as well.
The British High Commissioner, Lisa Chesney, expressed condolences to families of the security personnel and innocent civilians who lost their lives during the unrest. She cited that the economic hardship is a global problem affecting the UK also, but she believes even in difficult times, people have the right to street protest, but peacefully, she emphasized. However, the British High Commissioner had concern over accusation of the main opposition APC.
There is no room for violence to bring about change, and that is absolutely clear. And I think the second comment, enforcement is absolutely key, of course, when violence takes place. We would urge that that is carried out responsibly, calmly and proportionately. And I do want to raise a concern, and I'd be very interested to get a comment on this. I was concerned to hear already on social media channels and radio talk of accusations against opposition figures before arrests or the normal legal process has happened, and I am concerned that that will inflame things, so I'd welcome.
The U.S. Ambassador to Sierra Leone, David Reimer, read a brief statement released by Washington, D.C. yesterday on the deadly anti-government protests in Sierra Leone.
We are gravely concerned by reports of violence surrounding today's demonstrations in Sierra Leone. We urge all parties to stay calm, promote accountability, and ensure respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. And so in that vein, I was very happy to hear your talk about de-escalation. Not everyone who demonstrated on January 6th was arrested.
So guys, that was the warning that we got from, the statements from Ambassador David Reimer and that of Miss Lisa Chesney, right? Cautioning the government about how they were pointing fingers at people, especially the opposition, because even APC had to release a statement when the president, referred to them. And this was the statement from the APC party, that All People's Congress Party have received the address of His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, delivered to the nation on the 12th August 2022 with shock and utter disappointment. This statement was issued following the events of August 10th, 2022, which saw the killing of both civilians and security personnel. In particular, we wish to refer to paragraph 2 of the address, in which His Excellency the President directly accused the APC and our membership of being financiers and or supporters of the protest. Even before, what was that, financiers or whatever, PPP, even before an independent investigation is conducted. We believe that such and similar accusations have also happened in the past, which contributed and continue to contribute to the political divide in the country. So this was a statement from the APC as a political party, cautioning the president at the time. We can all agree nobody should lose their lives in a protest. The civilians, as well as the military, the police officers that lost their lives. But of course, like I said again, investigations would come into play and we'll know the facts, we'll know what actually happened. But the fact of the matter remains, At the end of the day, you cannot be calling these people insurrectionists. They came out to protest for a legitimate reason. Yes, they might have been influenced by some idiots telling them to burn police stations or this or that. That's the government to take care of that. Not to take it out on the innocent citizens that are out there protesting because they are demanding more. So for them to be calling these people insurrectionists, I'm taking offense to that for every Sierra Leonean that was out there protesting very peacefully. You can go after the perpetrators of the protest. That is your business, but not on the people. I will not sit back and allow these guys to continue to bring the name of, especially those that are dead today, bring their name in disrepute, calling them insurrectionists. That is why I'm doing this. They were Sierra Leoneans peacefully protesting, using Section 26 of the Constitution. You can say whatever you might want to say about them being misguided or whatever the case is. Go after those people. But leave the citizens alone. Stop calling them insurrectionists. They are not insurrectionists. I've showed you guys videos of real insurrectionists. And you guys have seen that. And I think that should be sufficed today. After today, nobody again, not for the call salon people away protesting insurrectionists. Let us be honest to ourselves. That is the real insurrection right there.
We just got tear gassed in the middle of a prayer. Are you kidding me?
Lay down your weapons!
I want you guys to see that.
Those weapons belong to us! That helmet 4518 belongs to me! Give me my helmet!
Watch this.
We're not the place. We're not liberals. We don't burn shit down. We're coming for them. That's all we're doing. That's the thing, y'all done. Where are they? You know they're not here. Where are they at? They're in their states, their homes. They're not here. Where's their home? We're here.
This is the most significant breach of an American government institution since the Battle of Bladensburg, August 24th, 1814, when the British came and burned the Capitol and also burned the White House. We have never had an instance of an incursion inside the U.S. Capitol building to this degree since that time. Let's be clear, the mob upended American democracy today as they try to count the Electoral College.
I need support!
And I'm going to play, the CNN report about the August 10th protest. I want you guys to listen to this.
On August 10th in Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown, people took to the streets to protest a worsening cost of living crisis. Rising food shortages have left over half the population without enough food to eat, according to the World Food Programme, with the president of Sierra Leone labelling the protesters as terrorists. There was no mention of the number of civilians killed, which Reuters reported as high as 21.
But what the hell? Let's listen to this. This is, was done by CNN reporter talking about the protest. The government, the president is always quick to call people terrorists. The same thing happened at McKinney, terrorists. Pademba Prison Massacre, terrorists. This is the thing. It's just like what happened in Rwanda. When the Hutus started calling the Tutsis cockroaches. They even get the radio, like the 98.1 as an example. When we get back in Rwanda, Radio Dutch or something, I've forgotten what the name is. But they actually use that radio to call the Tutsis cockroaches. So you start to describe people with these demeaning characters so that they don't worth anything and you can do whatever you want to do to them. Those are the signs. Calling people terrorists. So now you think it's okay for you to go ahead and kill these people. Even when they use the Constitution to protest. It is their right. SLPP protested. But let's watch this together.
But it was the severe police crackdown both on the streets and online that has revealed worrying signs of a government suppressing freedom of speech. The voice you're hearing is of 20-year-old Jibrila Kojo. Sitting on his balcony, he calls for those running past to be careful and not damage the cars parked below. Just over an hour later, Jibrila would be dead. His friend David, whose name we have changed to protect his identity, witnessed the shooting and says Jibrila was shot in the neck by Sierra Leone's police.
It was totally harmless. It was not even part of the protest. It was at the balcony watching.
David's videos of the events are rare and risky. He told CNN he believes it was the sight of him and his friend filming that made them a target for police.
Even before Jibo died, we had him. I told him that they are firing life rounds. We need to back up, we need to get inside. But he insisted. He said they were firing rubber bullets, but it was life rounds.
CNN analysed a bullet casing found at the scene, which was confirmed by weapons experts to be from live ammunition. The police have made no comment on whether they did use live bullets during the protests. David's filming 2 hours before Jibrilla's death reveals armed police standing on the streets below. You can see the red hats, indicating it's the Operational Support Division, an armed unit of the police, which according to Amnesty International has a track record for shooting at unarmed protesters dating back to 2007. As other scenes of injured and bloodied protesters across Freetown began to be shared on social media, the internet was cut off. By midday, just half an hour after Jibrilla's death, NetBlocks recorded a total shutdown of the internet, activity NetBlocks identified as an intentional disruption. The next day, a statement was issued by the government's Department for Cybersecurity warning that anyone spreading incendiary information online could be punished with up to 20 years in prison. And the basis for this threat was a new cybersecurity law introduced in 2021 and backed by the EU, UK and the Council of Europe.
To sign into law today the Cybersecurity and Crime Act.
The law had aimed to safeguard intellectual property and privacy online and was part of a broader initiative by the EU and UK to fund projects across Africa that tackled cybercrime. In statements to CNN, the EU and UK delegations to Sierra Leone said they were engaging with the government on freedom of speech and protest. The delegation encouraged all measures which lead to dialogue and refrained from repressive measures, the EU said. And the Council of Europe said the spreading of incendiary information is not listed in the offences under the Act. Do you think it's what the UK and EU intended for this law to be used by?
Definitely not. I mean, neither the EU, which is founded upon the basic principles of human rights, and nor any democratic state in the world, including the United Kingdom, would even consider an attempt to limit the freedom of speech in such a manner.
Reporters Without Borders told CNN any repressive provision of freedom of expression online must be repealed, and said they called on authorities in Sierra Leone to highlight the fact the act should not interfere with the rights to freedom of expression. And for many in Sierra Leone who spoke to CNN, they said this law made them fearful to use social media to document what they witnessed during the August 10th protests.
They want you guys to see it, like the foreign medias. They want the foreign medias to be seeing these videos.
Do you feel scared right now?
Of course, yes. Of course, 100%. Yes. Yes. I'm actually expecting a physical announcement, but I pray it don't happen.
Katie Poglaze, CNN, London.
So guys, this is what I'm talking about. You see this report. So for these governments to be calling the people insurrectionists and terrorists, they have to stop. And if I hear them, every time I hear them again calling insurrectionists and stuff, I'm going to do another live just to push out this there so the world remembers what happened that day. Yes, it goes down that Ibrahim did not support that protest under no circumstances because I felt like it was going to affect some of our processes. And it did affect our people. Yes, so I'm totally against that. But the fact of the matter is, remains still, a protest is a protest. It is a constitutional right. Section 26, subsection 1 makes it very clear that every citizen has a protection to their freedoms of assembly and association. Therefore, it is a right. Cannot take that away from them. But for the government to call them insurrectionists, I've showed you guys videos of what an insurrection looks like, what happened in America, and similarly, what is actually happening in Brazil right now. What is going on in Brazil right now? When the supporters of Bolsonaro, who recently lost elections, came out and attacked the parliament and government buildings across Brazil. It is happening right now.
Breaking situation in Brazil. Thousands of supporters of ousted former President Bolsonaro storming the presidential and congressional buildings, demanding he be restored to power. The scenes reminiscent of January 6th here in the U.S. Many of the protesters there wearing the national colors of yellow, green, and blue. Riot police confronting demonstrators outside, firing tear gas. Officials say extra police have been mobilized to try to bring order. Some protesters ransacking offices, others appearing to steal equipment and calling for the military to intervene and overturn the election Bolsonaro lost. The former president, who has been called Latin America's Trump, is believed to be in Miami, skipping the inauguration of his leftist rival Lula da Silva, who defeated him in October's election. Late today, da Silva blamed Bolsonaro for the unrest. President Biden is now weighing in. ABC's Matt Rivers leads us off.
Tonight, democracy under attack in Brazil. Thousands of protesters violently storming the country's presidential offices and Congress in the capital of Brasilia in an attack eerily reminiscent of what the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol looked like just 2 years ago.
Do you hear that? What the insurrection looked like in America just 2 years ago? That is what you call an insurrection right there. Watch this.
The protesters, all supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro, who was defeated in October presidential elections by current President Lula da Silva, inaugurated just 1 week ago. The violent rioters battling with police, firing tear gas in the air as they vandalized government offices, all claiming Bolsonaro didn't really lose the election. Fortunately, the government was not in session. Bolsonaro himself spent years sowing doubt about Brazil's election systems, even saying the recent results where he lost couldn't be trusted. Brazil's courts and independent experts say that's not true, and that was apparent when we traveled to Brazil to cover the race in October.
In a deeply divided election, Lula's supporters here say they're not just voting for his policies, but for the future of Brazilian democracy.
Bolsonaro's false claims of fraud, the driving force behind today's violence. Protesters demanding da Silva leave office, calling him an illegitimate president as they entered government offices for what some called an occupation. President da Silva saying tonight that he will immediately return to the capital and blaming Bolsonaro for inciting the violent attack with his claims of election fraud.
Folks to understand exactly what we're talking about. That is what you call an insurrection. These people are broken into government offices, destroying stuff. And to be honest with you, I haven't even heard anybody died in Brazil. Private citizen that broke through. Can you imagine when these police officers have all the rights? They could shoot anybody at that particular point in time and no prosecutions would have been had. Because they would have been justified to do what they did. But how can you explain what they did to some of these citizens? Look at this, listen to the story of this person. This was after August 10th. This guy was killed. I want you to listen to this. So the question is, where are these people? But this is some of the things that happened. Tons of those videos. Look at the citizens coming out to protest. I see no sense why they should kill people. Even though I was opposed to that protest. Listen to the song they're singing. Should those people lose their lives because of that? And you call that, you say it's an insurrection? I don't know, if I hear that word again, I say people, they're not saying what's insurrection or insurrection. Because every time you guys do that, and like when you invite the mayor, every time you guys do that, inviting the mayor, we're going to come up with these videos so you guys can see exactly what actually happened. And again, to all the people that lost their lives, may their souls rest in perfect peace. But that was not an insurrection, and we'll not sit by and watch you guys call it an insurrection. Again, if you have a problem with people that organize the protest, go after those people. But you cannot label every Sierra Leonean that protested innocently, standing up for their democratic rights. You cannot call them insurrectionists or terrorists. They're not. They protested peacefully. Yes, you have a few miscreants that listen to miscreants like themselves that perpetrated harm. Okay, go after them. But don't label everybody as insurrectionists. Why are you inviting the mayor to your August 10th protest? Why are you investigations? Why are you inviting the mayor? The mayor had nothing to do with the protest, which is why I'm doing this live. And we're following this case and we'll continue to do these live sessions until you guys take a back seat and leave people like the mayor alone. Go and investigate the August 10th. We want to have answers for all the people that lost their lives. We want to know how the police officers were killed. We've had all kinds of story about the police officer. One police officer, they say, wearing a yellow raincoat. They didn't shoot her. We've had all kinds of stories. The truth would come out someday. But nobody deserved to die that day. That is a fact that we can all agree on. Nobody deserved to die on that day. And after, Evangelist Samson should not have been killed after. All of the people that lost their lives after the fact should not have died. There are tons of videos I can show you guys. Tons of videos. We have the videos. So you guys need to stop that nonsense. And stop calling people insurrectionists. But I just wanted to do this live, to break down this whole thing about, this insurrection talk so they will stop, and then we'll take it from there. Before I even go, I have, let me find this video of this officer.
I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Sure, just the restraint that you showed. I mean, obviously in great danger, but as terrible as that moment was, it could have spiraled that much more out of control.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it speaks to the individual officers that responded to the Capitol that day. The protocol that dictates how police officers use force is very specific, especially when we're talking about deadly force. And while, in my case, being out in the crowd, being assaulted, there were individuals that I identified in which I believe I was justified to use deadly force because I felt my life was in danger. That being said, in a crowd scenario, had I used my firearm, there's a good chance that I would have struck other people that may have been breaking the law, but may have not risen to the level of deadly force being appropriate. And so I chose, to use another tactic, as did many, many other officers. We don't have the ability to just shoot openly into a crowd because we feel like we're under attack.
No more insurrectionist talk. People protested. Yes, I did not support that protest. We were not happy for the protest because, again, we know it was going to disrupt. And indeed, the government used it effectively against our citizens. A lot of people able for register. Waiting to because then they go and hide. Then they get for go and run away. Some man go apply. Some man go Guinea. Some man go Liberia. Then they hide. And they for come back to the host entity. It happened at the eastern part of the country. Who is protecting those people? That was why we were against that protest, because we know they were going to use it against our people. But still, every citizen has a right to protest. Government has no right to kill anybody. Citizens don't get a right for kill police. Police don't get a right for kill a citizen. Especially if they don't pass that threshold. Let us care for ourselves and love ourselves and respect ourselves. Stop calling people terrorists or calling them, insurrectionists. We're not allowing enough to paint everybody with the same brush. No. Some of those people came out innocently to protest because Tintanga for them. When I go after the people that we commit the crime, we call for violence. When I go after them, by the way, when I feel call for a protest, when I go after them when I want. But I'm not going to paint every Sierra Leonean as a terrorist. Under no circumstances, it's not going to work. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
The police officers at the CID allowed only 4 party executive members into the building. Journalists were not given access into the building at the time of obtaining statements from Mr. Lima. While speaking, the chairman and leader of the party, Dr. Prince Hardin, called for the immediate resignation of the Inspector General of Police, Francis Munu, for referring to members of the SLPP as idlers and as such cannot provide security for the electoral period, and maintained that he is disappointed at him for making such uncalled for remarks. The incident, he however maintained, has made them more robust and resilient in their campaign to winning the March 2018 general elections.
To argue, with all due respect, his statements are not reflective of voting with the expect of an IG to be able to conduct this election in the sense that policing this election. That statement that we're not going to open a useless person. I think for retractor, and I'm calling for his resignation, and we are going to move for his resignation because a very sensitive position in it. Not only security of our people, but the security of this nation. We don't come far too far for a senior police, the most senior police officer, for call the main opposition party that we are idlers. Let me go talk. Yeah, I know he is that word partner because I'm more responsive, I'm more respected, and I'm more learned than him. With all due respect to him. for him to use that word, we take great exception to that. And we are going to write to all the international people and even the government that he needs to be removed. It does show clear partiality, and he cannot handle.
At 7:15 press time, Lima was still under police custody. Supporters displayed placards venting their anger and frustration while they continued to wait to know the fate of Lima. Precious Amabel Leby reporting for Star Television.